Greetings and all the best wishes for each and every one of you at any corner of this beautiful world, which is at the time a little bit uncertain. Conditions are not exactly what we used to or we hope to be, yet we're still alive, we're still active, we're still energetic, and we are going to make it beyond this because we have flow inside of us. We started, as of our last program, speaking about some magical power inside of us, some force, some energy that we all share, that we all have, and it's innate in each and every one of us. However, we are not necessarily connected with it, or we don't know how to utilize it or aware of it. So in this process, I'm going to be explaining many different aspects of this flow as how it relates to each and every one of us and how we can utilize it in a way to get beyond the obstacles that come our way. So let's say the obstacle is right now this COVID-19 and all of the problems that it has created emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, all of these areas of life that are affected by a problem are still under our management. But unfortunately, instead of managing the situation, we have learned to control things. And the subtopic of today's flow is control. Well, control for a lot of people is a good thing. You know, they think if I'm in control, then I'm doing something positive and I'm preventing something bad from happening. And this is where the issue arises. When we are controlling, that means we are holding flow. We are not letting the flow to be there. And if we go back to the definition of flow, flow is this energy inside of us that is flowing to every direction, and it's our energy that could be moving into any situation and just melt it inside and just allow us to get beyond it and capture it and bring it under our management. However, when we are in control, then we're just holding tight to a place, to a firm belief, to an ideology, to something that we have learned in the past that this is a safe place. This is something that I want to hold on to because this is my safety net, because this is the platform under my feet that if it's pulled from me, I'm going to lose control and I'm going to fall. Which that's the fear, that's the worry, that's the anxiety that control creates. A very good example that I bring for my clients is that, you know, I'm sure you've noticed drivers who are on the roads, on the freeways, and you see how they're holding tight to the wheels, and then the pupils is dilated, the neck muscles are tensed up, the body is kind of in a fight or flight position, even the breathing is restricted, and these people are controlling the vehicle because they're afraid that somebody's going to hit them, or they're not such a good drivers that they're afraid they're going to be hitting somebody else. So this person has no choice but to control the vehicle in the best way that she or he can do, and that's by holding firm and tight and very aware and vigilant. Okay, but then you see a lot of other drivers who are driving, you know, their hand is on the window and they just look, you know, listening to music and they're very comfortable. You see some people who even do their makeup or they eat. You know, I'm not saying that is necessarily safe, but then when they do that, I understand that this person is comfortable with their driving. Okay, they don't have to control the vehicle because they're good managers. They have enough confidence in themselves that while they're driving, they don't even have to think about driving. They're in the flow of their driving. They're just like a bicycle ride that you know, once you learn how to bike, then you're on the bike, and you know, you don't really have to think about the pedals or the brakes because they are automatically adjusted as the road progresses under you. So the way that flow is we are just in that emotional, mental, psychological energy, like a basketball player who's in a zone. You know, they're not thinking about every move. The moves are coming, you know, the twist and turn and the shots, they're all just coming together because this person is in the flow of what they do. Okay, but imagine now if they want to control, now they have to pay attention, extra attention to if they're going to miss their shots. If you see when they kind of making their free throws, you see that sometimes they out of their flow, and then you see that this ball is not going in the way that they usually can shoot it, right? So being in that zone is not necessarily an easy thing, but it's a possibility that we all have. And as we talked about it in the last section of this program, it has a certain values, virtues, ways of treating. That the first one we discussed was skills. So we need to have the skills for being in flow. If, again, going back to the driving or the basketball, if you have already practiced enough, if you have done your due diligence, if you have paid enough attention to this aspect of what you would like to do, how you would like to be, then you don't have to think about it, because you've done all of the practice exercises. Everything in life is like that. Okay? Everything requires a personal understanding, some practice, getting into the form of it, and then doing it. That's the only hard part. The rest of it is really easy. That learning part requires an extra effort from you to let go of the control, understand that, look, by control, I'm not gaining anything. If I'm controlling my fears so I don't go out of my house, or if I'm kind of scared of having relationships because relationships in the past have failed me, so now this inability becomes a control in my life, because now I'm going to control the bad feelings that I had from the last breakup or the infidelity of my ex-partner. And now what am I going to do? So I'm going to be controlling my relationships by avoiding them, by not trusting other people, by not being in new relationships. Okay, so when we are in control, we're losing power. We're not necessarily gaining anything, because yes, we may gain a position that is safe for now, but this position is not going to be sufficient for a day from now or 2 days from now. So then you can see how this concept of flow requires another very important concept, which is change, right? If we are in flow, we're not stuck in the same place. We are not in that controlling position that everything is just stagnant and not moving forward. We are in a place in our lives that we can have an understanding over our understanding and let go of the situation, because we have the ability to manage it in a way that we've already learned, and we trust ourselves. Building that self-confidence, self-esteem, or rebuilding it is really important, and that's part of our conversation, how you can really trust yourself, how you can see that you have this power, you have this energy, you have this capability to be within this flow and utilize yourself in a way that's possible. So the things that are kind of stopping our flow, I have a list of 7 of them. Temptation for perfection. That's one of the areas that we become controlling, because if things are not exactly what I have imagined them to be, if I have not seen them exactly how it's supposed to be, I'm not going to accept anything, and I'm not going to put my foot forward to utilize the knowledge, the system, the awareness that I have. So then you can see that perfectionism and just having that absolute point that I want is a huge deterrent in having flow. Okay? So imperfection is actually a part of flow, because flow doesn't get stuck in one position. The flow is changing. And once we accept that we're changing, then we can just be the captain of this ship that goes with the changes of the ocean, and we are able to adjust and maneuver and manage our vehicle, our vessel, who we are. I think that's a simple understanding, but again, it requires a certain trust in this system that we're discussing that we can tap into and utilize. Suppression of emotions, and that is so important. If I have feelings, if I have not expressed my feelings, if I have not dealt with my feelings, well, the chances are that these feelings are stuck inside of me, so the flow is disconnected, and I cannot really have a good communication with you because I'm now worried about what you think of me, how you may judge me, or how I'm seen in this world. For many different reasons, I might just get stuck with these emotional uncertainties or discomforts, and then my feelings are not allowing me to just be in my flow. So we would like to understand our feelings, and again, that's a part of the Wheel of Well-Being's mission. Especially one of the most important parts of it is dealing with emotional issues that we have. Fear is another one that stops us from the flow, because if I'm afraid of jumping, okay, then I'm not going to jump, and then I'm not going into in the flow of whatever that's ahead of me. So it's a beautiful swimming pool, or if there is a lake that I want to jump in and just enjoy the waters. So if I cannot just get myself to the edge and I cannot jump into the water, then nothing is going to happen. I'm missing out on enjoying something very refreshing and nice, right? So fear is another factor that, again, we need to deal with emotionally. Anxiety and worries, kind of similar to fear. When we are anxious, this anxiety and hypertension doesn't allow us to move much. So we need to become controlling. We need to hold tight, because my anxiety is going to take the better of me, and I'm not going to be comfortable in a situation, in a place, doing something, doing a performance, talking to someone, being in a new situation that I haven't been in before. Right? So then anxiety is another deterrent that creates controlling positions and then goes against the flow. Jealousy, that's one that, unfortunately, I gotta say that it's more of a sickness than anything else, because a jealous person, it's not about competitiveness, it's not about what you hope to have. It is what you don't want some other people have, which is really, really, really rooted in a lot of self-loathing and dissatisfaction with self and self-doubt. So once we build self-esteem and once we value ourselves, then jealousy is an issue that can be resolved. So but jealousy puts us in a position of hatred, a position of discomfort, and we go against that element outside of us just to control ourselves in a position that we are better than somebody else, right? Ego. Wow, ego, we all have egos, nobody is without an ego. But then how this ego gets on our way, that is the question. So if our ego is understanding of the flow, then it's not a deterrent, it's not an obstacle, because our ego is that part of us, that inner child, is that faculty in our mind that is very controlling, because wants to be a certain way, wants to be seen or accepted in a certain way. And if it's not, then it's going to be creating more turmoil inside of that person. So if we can just have our ego step aside and just have him support us in our capabilities and knowing what we know without being egotistic, that would be a very big plus in having flow. Otherwise, your ego is going to be getting on the way of your flow. I think that's easy to understand. And the last one is bottling up and restraining ourselves in different situations, which is going back to the concept of change. If I'm restrained from any change, then I'm chained, I'm shackled, I'm not able to move forward, and I'm stuck. And what happens with being stuck? Decay and destruction, right? So as long as we are alive, as long as we live a healthy life, we need to be forward moving. We need to use this flow and go forward. Well, all of these are parts of our topics every time that we talk, and I hope that putting all of these little pieces together will help you, my clients, anybody that is seeking to be in flow, to learn more about this gift, this magical power that we have inside of us, and we can all utilize it, just understanding how it's used and how it can come forward. At the Wheel of Wellbeing, we've been doing this for the past 12 years. Me and my wife, Coach Bonnie, we've been invested in this for many years, and we have worked on ourselves and practiced to be in this flow. And I'm really happy to tell you that not all the time, but most of the time, I feel that this flow can push me forward, can take me to new directions. When I sit here and I speak with you, that flow is driving me. And that otherwise, if I would like to not to be in this flow, then I have to judge what I'm looking like, what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, is it acceptable, is it not acceptable? So that self or ego, when it goes aside and I am myself talking to you, I'm bringing you myself and what the universe has gifted me with to you, together we can be in that flow. I'm glad to answer any questions that you may have. This program is called Flow and is under an umbrella of archived programs in Togetherness Media. You're more than welcome to look at these later, or all of the pieces that you have not seen. wheelofwellbeing.com is our website. My book, Balancing the Wheel, is another way that you can learn more about this flow, because in the concept of the wheel of well-being, or balancing the wheel has a flow. A wheel turns. A wheel just gets on the road, which is bumpy and maybe not so easy to go through, yet this wheel needs to be balanced. It needs to maintain its flow, and that is our job, to be cognizant of any obstacle that gets in front of this wheel of well-being, anything that stagnated, any stuckness that could just go inside of the wheel of your bicycle. Okay, the power of this wheel is inside of us, is that flow that is the result of it, and we are here to be with you, to support you, to together have a flow. Imagine the universal flow is what John Lennon was talking about. Okay, we can all be one, and we can all move forward within this energy of flow. I wish you an amazing day, and looking forward to bringing you more information about flow in our next opportunity. So wheelofwellbeing.com has a wheel test. You can take that test, and from that test you can see how balanced you are, how your flow is, and if there are any areas that in these areas you feel less, you feel over, you feel stagnant, then those are the areas that you would like to work with. And I really appreciate if you can send in your questions, concerns, issues that you feel stuck with, issues that you see other people are stuck with, and how we can unstuck this situation. That is our mission. We are sitting here to just bring you that information. If I don't know it, believe me, I'm going to be researching it. I'm going to be bringing you all of that information. Together, we can make this a more beautiful world and bypass all of these issues that come in a harmonious way. Our love, our mutual love, is again the energy of flow. Love is flow. Everything that is energetically bring us together and moves forward without restrictions and stagnation, it is flow. And I'm so happy to be in flow with you in this program. See you soon in our next section. Have a beautiful day.